Have you ever watched someone lose everything? Not just their home or their wealth, but their belief in humanity itself? There is a kind of silence that only comes after betrayal. A silence so heavy it settles into a person's bones. Most people think pain arrives with screaming and chaos, but the deepest wounds usually arrive quietly. A door closes. A hand lets go. Familiar faces suddenly become strangers. Sometimes, the universe strips a soul bare. It feels cruel in the moment. It feels unfair. But as an old man who has watched the seasons change beside this river for longer than most can remember, I have learned something the young rarely understand. The winter wind does not destroy the tree. It removes what was never meant to survive. Take a deep breath. Sit with me for a moment beneath the old willow tree, and let me tell you about a boy named Arav. I knew his father well. He was a carpenter who spoke little and worked slowly, the kind of man who believed anything built with patience could outlast time itself. His hands were rough as bark, but gentle with wood. People trusted him because he never cut corners, never lied, and never rushed. When he died one bitter winter morning, the valley felt different. Even the birds seemed quieter. But death was not the cruelest thing that happened to Arav. No, the true cruelty came afterward. I watched from the roadside as relatives poured into the carpenter's home before the funeral smoke had even faded. Men who had barely visited in years suddenly arrived carrying papers, accusations, and fake debts. Their voices grew loud and sharp, like wolves fighting over scraps. They claimed the workshop first. Then the house. Then the land. By sunset, they had taken nearly everything the carpenter spent his life building. I still remember the look on Arav's face as they carried his father's tools away in wooden crates. He stood frozen in the yard, too shocked to fight back. He was only a boy, thin and quiet like his father, with eyes that still believed people would eventually do the right thing. But greed teaches harsh lessons quickly. One of the relatives threw a cracked clay pot at his feet before forcing him out. A useless vessel for a useless boy, the man sneered. And just like that, Arav was exiled to an abandoned mud hut near the riverbank. The roof leaked when it rained. The floor turned to sludge during storms. In winter, the cold crawled through the walls like invisible fingers. For weeks, the boy wandered through the village like a shadow. I would see him standing near the marketplace, hoping someone might greet him the way they once had. But people avoided his eyes. Old friends suddenly found reasons to walk elsewhere. Shopkeepers who once welcomed him warmly now spoke with cold politeness. That is the strange thing about suffering. People fear it. They fear that if they stand too close to misfortune, some of it might cling to them too. So they disappear. One morning, before sunrise, I found Arav collapsed near my patch of land by the river. His body trembled from exhaustion. Beside him lay that same cracked clay pot, leaking water slowly into the dirt. The boy was crying so quietly I almost didn't hear him. "I have no one," he whispered. "I have nothing left." I sat down beside him in the wet grass. At my age, you learn that wisdom rarely enters through lectures. It enters through stillness. So for a while, I simply listened to the river. Then I pointed toward the pot. "When a cup is empty, Arav, it feels useless," I said softly. "But only an empty cup has room to be filled again." He stared at the ground without speaking. So I pointed lower, toward the mud beneath the leaking water. Tiny green clovers had begun pushing through the soil where the water dripped. "Look closely," I told him. "Even broken things can nourish life." The boy said nothing. But something inside him shifted that morning. Real change rarely arrives dramatically. It does not announce itself with thunder. Most transformations begin quietly, like the first crack of dawn before the sun appears. Over the following months, I watched Arav rebuild himself piece by piece. He stopped waiting for rescue. Stopped chasing the approval of people who had abandoned him. Instead, he turned toward the only thing he still possessed, his own hands. He repaired the hut using river mud and fallen branches. Without his father's iron tools, he carved replacements from hard oak and sharpened stones by hand. The work was brutal. Some nights, I saw him sitting outside with bleeding palms, too exhausted to even eat. But every morning before sunrise, he stood again. Pain either hardens bitterness or strengthens character. The choice belongs to the sufferer. One afternoon during the rainy season, a wealthy traveler's carriage broke apart on the river road. One axle snapped completely, leaving the horses restless and the traveler shouting in frustration. Villagers gathered to watch. No one stepped forward. Except Arav. The boy carried only a wooden wedge, a handmade mallet, and the calm focus his father once carried. I watched him kneel in the pouring rain for hours, reshaping the damaged wheel with patience most men no longer possess. Rain soaked his clothes. Mud covered his hands. But he never complained. By sunset, the carriage rolled smoothly once again. The traveler stared at him in disbelief. Then he reached into his carriage and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. It was an old silver pocket watch. Broken. Scratched. But unmistakable. His father's watch. Months earlier, the relatives had sold it to a pawn trader. The traveler had purchased it merely because he admired the craftsmanship. But after witnessing Arav's dedication, he understood the object belonged to someone far greater than himself. When the boy held the watch again, his hands trembled. Not because of its value, but because for the first time since losing everything, something precious had returned to him. Hope. Years pass quickly when you spend them beside a river. The boy became a man before my eyes. And slowly, the valley changed its opinion of him. People who once ignored him now traveled long distances to seek his help. He repaired broken doors, built sturdy furniture, crafted bowls smooth as river stones. But more importantly, he listened to people. Truly listened. There is something powerful about those who have suffered deeply without becoming cruel. People trust them. Arav never became rich in the way greedy men dream of becoming rich. But his home became warm. His garden flourished. His storehouse stayed full through winter. Most importantly, peace settled into his spirit. And peace is a wealth no thief can steal. Just last week, I watched those same relatives walk slowly past his land. Their clothes looked older now. Their faces carried the tiredness that greed eventually carves into every soul. They saw the sturdy home, the thriving garden, the workshop filled with honest work, and the silver watch ticking calmly on his wrist. Their eyes lowered with shame. Some muttered apologies. Others hinted at regret, hoping perhaps the successful man before them might forget the cruelty of the past. But Arav surprised them. He did not yell, did not seek revenge, did not humiliate them. Instead, he walked quietly to the well he had built with his own hands and offered them fresh water. I lost everything once, he told them gently. But in the silence of losing it all, I found myself. None of them could meet his eyes. As the sun sets tonight, I still sit beneath this willow tree beside the river. And sometimes I watch Arav standing at the water's edge, the golden evening light dancing across the surface beside him. He is no longer the broken boy with the leaking clay pot. He is a man who understands something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. When the world walks away from you, it is not always punishment. Sometimes, it is protection. Sometimes, life removes the noise so you can finally hear your own soul. Silence builds what the crowd never can. Patience transforms suffering into wisdom. And the deepest losses often become the foundation for the life you were truly meant to live.